Welcome back to the Duel podcast with your host Alicia Solomon and myself Megan Hines, where every week we talk the challenge and we are basically here at the final, one last daily as well, to figure out who else is going to the final. But this week was really the start of the final, and we had a lot of clear front runners. Whoever people who actually won that daily, I had as people I wanted to get stars.
I guess same. I was a little confused as to why they decided to add two more stars at the end when basically this whole season it was 6 stars and whoever doesn't have a star is not making it to the final. Like I didn't get that part of it, but cool.
Yeah, I would have thought like there would have been another daily where we figure out okay whose star was stolen because I didn't think that by the end of the episode Veronica would still be there and actually in the final. I also thought that Ace would have lost his star too, but they both didn't and they're both in the final. But to start the episode, the non-star holders are Laurel and Ryan, who both pump faked their opportunities to go into elimination to even get a star. And then Adam, who got his star stolen and his was given to Ace, Derek, Flora, and Avery. And my front runners that I did have to steal stars from other people at the start were Laurel and Derek because for this time it was put up or shut up for Laurel, and Derek, it was his time to really get in gear and get his star because of how he's done thus far this season.
Yeah, I think Derek's performance this whole season has been impressive and a little bit under the radar up until we get to this point now where people are finally realizing like he is an actual threat. I think Keith realized that early on in the season, but yeah, it's really Derek and Laurel for me. Adam had a star, but obviously lost it last week to Steve, and so I think he's definitely up there. But I was mainly going for Laurel and Derek as men and women that are left.
Yeah. And then obviously the current star holders were still Cara, Leroy, Steve, Veronica, Nicole, and Ace. And at that point in that first part of the episode, I literally just said like I would likely to see that Veronica and Ace would lose their stars. If it was going to be like a double elimination scenario before the final. And also, still, when they did the recap and they showed Adam's last words, to this day, I still laugh at the fact that he literally sat there and said, "You can sit and spin, bitch." And I'm like, listen, this is energy that probably should have had before, but I liked it. And we got to more Adam still being very annoyed and pissed off at Steve. And said that Steve betrayed him for no reason. And they showed Steve like kind of be down a little bit on himself, but he's like, I won nations. And they're like, yo, I pitched you in a nation like multiple times. He cannot feel betrayed because you took his star.
Yeah, I'm still confused as to where the venom came from Adam. We spoke about it last week. It literally was just two different Adams in terms of confessionals from early on in the episode where he was hyping up Steve, and then all of a sudden he told Steve where to go and what to do, and it was just honestly weird. And then for the energy to keep going on into this week, and for him to really blame Steve about how he was betrayed, it just didn't make any sense. So I'm not sure where this Adam came from. I think this is probably part of old Adam that has resurfaced, but it was just awkward to see, to be honest.
Yeah. And we get into the daily challenge, which they TJ did tell them that, hey, I have 6 star holders. And you guys basically have an off day. Y'all can go to a camping day, basically at an RV, and chill out, while the rest of the 6 people who don't have stars are playing in this daily, and the top 2 people in this daily will get their stars. And like we said, we thought that it would just be 6 people going into the final because you needed a star. I thought, okay, cool, we're good. But then I realized since we did have more people left, like we had 6 people that didn't have stars, I figured at this point, okay, it could just be a double nation situation and people can get out and get stars switched. But with this daily, obviously they're like, okay, we need to have at least like 8 people in this final. So like we're gonna give 2 other people stars. That's I think what they're thinking with at this point of the game. And I'm like, y'all could have just said that or just not did a star thing at all. We could have just had 8 people in the final.
I mean, I'm not sure what the difference is between 6 and 8, to be honest, because people are going to leave anyway. So I don't get the point of it, but I do think that there should have been at least a double elimination within that group of people, or what something else to come up with rather than just one elimination and then the two best people are going to have stars. I feel like if they were going to take two more people from that group, then they should have had those two people go against the star holders to try to take their stars and take their spots to get to a final. But whatever. What's done is done, and so they have a challenge set up for the last, I guess, 6 people to try to win a star, and that's where we get Floral and Derek and Ryan and Avery, Adam trying to. Oh, and Flora too. Who Flora had a whole moment where she was just like, "I'm just happy that my daughter gets to see me go past week 2 because she was going to be embarrassed if her mom didn't make it past week 2, which I would have been too. Like, you're at least a smooth 40 plus. You're going on the show after 20 years. Like, don't come back home and embarrass me." But what I will say is that Flora gave confessionals and absolutely nothing else. And I'm really surprised that she made it up until that point. But when they got to the starting line for the actual challenge itself, Flora was like, yes, like, never mind. I'm going to go home and I'm going to limp my way out of this too. Like, it literally was just so awkward. Like, why did you even get dressed? Why did you even like do anything? Like, you knew that it was just so weird. TJ was like, I don't like quitters, but yeah, girl, whatever, go home. And I was so confused as to why she even got dressed. Like, you could have just told us this prior to, but I think, you know, Flora just being there was a miracle in itself.
Yeah. In the words of a friend of the show, Anthony Canton, I would like to say this is a washed agenda. She knew what time it was. Her body was broken down. She's like, if I can't do this, I cannot run the final. So I'm going to bow out respectfully, and go home. And that was that. But it was funny when she was walking away. They literally just they started the challenge. I was like, this is really weird. Y'all could have waited like a little bit more time, let her walk, but she was walking very gingerly, and they weren't gonna wait to start. So I was like, okay, this is just a weird dichotomy. Okay, I see one person that's walking backwards, everybody else is about to run into the forest. Like this could have been edited up a little bit better. But they are playing a game called Starborn, where they'll race into the woods and have to untie a raft from a tree and then paddle the raft to a platform in the water. And then they'll have to dive under the water to untie a key so that they can unlock a trough of mud on shore in search for a star. And the first man and woman, like we said, to spot a star will punch their ticket to the final, and the rest of the people who are in the city are eliminated. And it was just also funny seeing how the star holders were having their camp day at the RV. Like they were just chilling under the sun, under the shade, eating snacks and just playing games. It was like really like camp day on one side, the other side it's just people running through a trail and doing a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, what do I want to say? They're drinking beers and just sitting down. It's nothing to really add.
Yeah. And Derek took the lead for the group, and Laura was right behind them. It was really theirs would have taken this whole challenge basically of Adam like being a smooth like inches away from being behind Derek, and Avery was just like in the water, just not doing great, not moving at all. Like we got to like the onshore, like everybody got their keys, got on shore except for Avery, because she was still in the water, could not barely move her paddle to even get to the platform. But Adam, Derek, and Laurel all made it to the shore, got into the truck, and were looking for their stars. Avery was just literally a fish out of water.
Honestly, I don't know what to expect from Avery because she has been doing well for the most part this season, and I thought that she would be able to keep up at least. But with Laurel, it's just like that's another level of competitiveness that I don't think Avery has really had the opportunity to tap into this whole time. So it was just like, yeah, I don't know how you're gonna do. And we saw when she got to the water, she couldn't even figure out how to paddle herself to the middle of the ocean. She was literally going in circles. Same with Ryan. He's just sitting down, basically just in the water, just having a field day, not even moving or having any sense of real urgency to try to get to the middle. But as for the other three, I feel like the competition was basically between Laurel, Adam, and Derek. And once Derek got into the water, he saw that Adam was super close and was like, all right, I have to dive under and get this really quickly so that I can keep it moving because Adam was really right on his tail the whole time. And, Laurel obviously got to the shore first, Derek right behind her. Adam was like you said, inches behind him. And so once Derek got into the mud and tried to find the star, I was really rooting for him just because I feel like he deserved to at least get this opportunity to get to the final. He's been playing great all season. He's had some moments where he's had partners that kind of messed him up to win daily challenges to even get the possibility to get a star. So I think that this moment for Derek was like more of redemption for the whole season for him, just to at least appease his confidence, at least because it was just like kind of a shitty card. Just kind of keep going all season and not really having the opportunity to go into elimination or to get a star. But I feel like Derek redeemed himself and, him and Laurel get their stars. They're going to a final. And Adam was right behind. Like it wasn't too far, but Derek found his first, and I was really happy that he did.
Yeah, I was like, oh yay, Derek, because I was rooting for Derek literally this whole season because I knew like he would be an underdog in some way, and he is one of the young people on the season. And I was like knew that he would like clock in, and he had the capability to do that, and he's done that. But like you said, his game hasn't been over the radar; it's just been under the radar, where he hasn't had the best of luck in some of these challenges. But he really showed improved in this challenge as well, and seeing him get the star first was like, yay, because I already knew like Laurel would have got hers no matter what because Avery was not going to get hers. But I was more excited to see Derek get his star because I did not want to see Adam in the final because he's like, oh, if I get in the final, I'm gonna make it hell for Steve. Like at this point, Steve don't care about you. At this point, it's just a one-sided little beef that now you got, and you want to get your comeuppance about. If you were in this final, I don't know how you would have fared. I don't know if you would have been the same category as Steve. I don't know if you will be higher than Steve. I don't know. But him saying, "Oh, I would have wanted to like really like give it to Steve," I'm like, that's not. But it was funny at the end where Leo was like, "Sucks to be you, Adam, loser," and I had to laugh. So I'm like, he was like propping him up and then saying good things, and he was like, "Well, sucks to be you because you lost."
It definitely gave Phaedra in Kenya from Real Housewives of Atlanta just loser, you know, behavior because I don't know where this beef with Adam really stems from. Like it's not very clear, and it's actually cringe to for him to keep it going and for Steve to be like, yeah, whatever, cool, like not really giving him much. So yeah, I mean I didn't mind Adam. Like I said last week, I didn't mind the confessional just because it was just like, where the fuck is this coming from? But if he won, he won. I wasn't like, I wanted Derek to win, but I wasn't gonna be like super mad if Adam won just because I'm like, where else can he go? Like, where else can he take this beef if he gets to the final? Like, because I don't know where it's coming from. So I just would have wanted to see how it played out, to be honest. But that's just the messy reality TV watcher in me. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. So Ryan and Avery and Adam are out of the game. They're gone back home. And our finalists are now WD-40 Veronica, um, Cara Maria, Leroy, Ace, Steve, Derek, Laurel, and Nicole. And TJ pulled up on them at the house and said, "Hey guys, I need y'all to get ready right now because we're going on a road trip in an RV and we're going to our final, basically." And in this moment, I was like, what challengers would I want to be in an RV with for a road trip? My initial thought off the rip was surprisingly for me, Cara Maria, because I know she's an outdoorsy kind of person. So I was like, okay, I could roll with that. My second person, I said was Tech, because I need entertainment, and I think Tech will obviously always give that. I wrote Danny, and then Michaela and Desi as my last two people, because they were on Survivor, and I need people who are outdoorsy and have fun. So yeah, who are some people you would put on your RV with you?
Very hypothetical because I would never get in an RV, but I would say probably I would go with Danny because Danny is more level headed. He actually stands on like business and feel like he's strong, has a good sense on his head. I probably would get what's the homeboy with the long hair? Tyson?
Typhon, yes.
Yeah, Tyson. I would get him too. He seems like, he's white. He kind of could figure some shit out. I don't know. Um, yeah, that's all I got. I'm not hanging out with you niggas in the RV. I'm just sorry. That's not my vibe. Never was, never will be. So I'm not picking people to just chill out in a van with. Like, bro, get out of here. I'm not doing that shit. We
Like
can go to
not
a
even for
bar. We
like
can go to a park. We can go to the pier, but we are not getting in a truck to sit in a hot ass van to do what? Like, bro, I'm not on tour. Like, I'm not an artist. I'm not about to get on no van to be sitting with niggas and just chilling. That's just not me.
not for a 2 hour road trip, because I feel like that or an hour. I don't know, like that's too much for you still.
Uh, could we get like a Mercedes Sprinter and like could we get ice and cup and drinks and chips and have good music? That's my kind of vibe for a quick road trip. Like if I'm going to Philly or DC and I'm not driving, like sure we can get a Sprinter and get snacks and chill. But an RV is fucking crazy. Like I'm not getting in an RV.
Okay, that's noted. For a future reference.
Yeah, girl,
They get
that gives Yellowstone. No thanks.
they get to the final site, and TJ reiterates the rules and what is at stake for the final. The overall winner will get $250,000, and the runner ups will get $50,000 each. And on day one, they'll compete in a series of advantage and elimination checkpoints, where the winner of the advantage checkpoint earns their advantage for the elimination one. That follows, and the last player of each elimination checkpoint will be sent packing, with the process continuing until 4 players remain at the end of day one. And checkpoint one was the advantage one, where they'll be strapped to a race car and have to use a paintball gun and hit a series of targets. And each target hit is 1 point, while there is one hidden target that is 2 points. And the most player that gets the most points wins this challenge and gets their advantage. And as they were going, I'm like, this is something out of like an action movie, because this is actually really cool about the dangerous. Like, imagine just flying around the car, hitting paintballs at targets. That's actually kind of cool. I actually wouldn't mind trying to do that.
It definitely was different. What the only one thing I would say I like about this final, because this is actually the start of the final, is that it's not the typical, all right, let's start a 5 mile run to the first checkpoint and then we're gonna go from there and see like from checkpoint to checkpoint. Like I think that this just mix up the, kind of same routine that we always see with finals. And so I was actually glad to see this is a final and not just, another challenge. But I do think that the challenge itself was fun. Laurel seemed very excited the whole time. She was like enthused, like a lot of the other people were too. But it definitely was different, and I was happy that Leroy went first. The one thing that I did like about these challenges, these well, not these challenges, but these part of the finals, is that they don't see what the other person is doing. So it gives the challenger, an advantage because the audience can't see. Like the other cast, people cannot see to get a head start or to kind of figure out what to do differently. And like Leroy mentioned, when you go first, you're definitely the guinea pig in how other people start to strategize what they're going to do when it's their turn. So for the fact that no one can see, I like that part of it too. And Leroy went first, and I was like, boy, Leroy, you better step up because the amount of times that we've seen Leroy in this moment and just wet the bed, and for his wife to have left the game the way that she did, they have a family. Like, listen, I was happy that Leroy stepped up the way he did, I would say, this challenge because, listen, Leroy, pull it together.
You on your last leg with us at this point. Just do better. And he did that. He killed it in that first challenge, and Laurel hit all her targets as well. But she missed like one that she was like really down about. And right before Derek went, they're like, "Oh, don't shit your pants." He didn't do that, and he did a good job as well. And he was like, "I hit a secret star, yay!" That's me whenever I figure out that I find something new and I accomplish it. That was giving that energy, and I was like, "Good for Derek." He made sure to find that secret star and hit it. But Leroy and Laurel did hit the most targets, and Leroy just had the edge on Laurel and had the most overall, and he gets the advantage for the elimination checkpoint, where they get electrocuted. Some people are, and it's called Electric Star, where they had to maneuver a ring through a wire star loop, and they had to try not to get shocked as they moved their ring around that loop. And the player that had the slowest time would be eliminated. And Leroy got to skip a quarter of the star loop away to start at his advantage. And he went first and he cleared the loop completely and then decided to fuck up the rest of the people and started yelling and screaming like he actually got shocked. And TJ is laughing, like, go ahead, let's get it out so that they can get scared. He's like, I'm trying to like just mess with them to see like, hey, I'm getting shocked, trying to scare them. It kind of didn't work, but kind of did because they're like, is he faking? He was faking, but they didn't like. They were like confused, like if he was or not, because it was at the end, but it's like you don't know how much time it did take for him to do it.
Yeah, I think, Leroy's having fun while in a final as well. Because, like I said, this is a different kind of vibe for the final. And so, him going and doing that, it was like, okay, it's a little funny moment. But, for other people, it did ring true in terms of them actually getting electrocuted. And I think probably the worst one, not the worst, but the one that was crazy to me was Nicole because Nicole came back crying and boo-hooing, but then she was fake crying. Like it was just so weird for her. She actually did get electrocuted in her doing her, star, but then she came back to try to get sympathy points from Laurel. I think that's just weird, manipulative, and toxic. You're in a final. Like, girl, pack it up. That's just too weird for me, but whatever. I think Steve also got electrocuted. The one that had me cracking up was Ace because Ace clearly didn't care. Ace is like, he grew up in South Georgia. He knows about getting electrocuted over fences, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, he just took the ring and was not even trying to clear it. Once he figured out he couldn't clear it, he was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to go straight electro mode and get shocked. And it was just so strange because he's literally screaming the whole time, but he cleared it. I would say he cleared it super fast, but it was so funny to see that one.
And then Veronica also, she said she got treated a lot for fun as a kid, and she was like, that didn't phase me at all. And she didn't really like. She got shocked doing the loop, but it wasn't as bad as Ace. But she was like, I'm good. I'm not phased. Derek was kind of freaking out. He was like kept saying fuck you, like he's getting shocked, and I'm like, I could not do this either. Like I'd be scared of shock too, so I get it. Um, but Laurel also didn't touch the wire either. Um, and Kara got shocked at the last second. Like she cleared it mostly until that last drop down. And most everybody did good. They maintained composure, I would say. But we don't know who lost this animation because it left us off on a cliffhanger. But oh no, we do. The bottom two people were Laurel and Derek, but we don't know of the two who will be eliminated next episode. And of the two, it would be sad to see for me that Derek would get eliminated because he did so great thus far. But then to see him go out on this one would be a little bit off. Laurel, she can get back at this point, so I don't know. The toss up.
Yeah, I definitely think Derek would probably be harder to see leave just because, like you said, everything that he went through to get to this point for the final and for him to get eliminated kind of sucks. But four people have to go, like TJ said, before sunrise of this final. So they have at least two more challenges to go to where one gets an advantage and one has to be eliminated. So it's really just like you got to, you know, play the cards and try to see like if you can win or not. And so I hope Derek can pull through, but if he doesn't, he can be proud of himself at least to say that he did make a final. He got to this point, like he bust his ass. You know, he just couldn't figure out this part of the challenge. And so I hope that it's not Derek, but I have a feeling that it is. And so we'll get part two next week for the conclusion of the final.
Yep. And that's the recap for the episode. It was actually not too bad. Challenge wise, both of the challenges were actually really fun. I really mostly did like that advantage one because that one was really cool. Something we really haven't seen on the show. And then the electric, I can't say that word now. The electric one, that one is interesting in itself too. I like you said earlier, like I like the aspect where they can't see what the others are doing when they have their turn. So it would be interesting to see who does end up going on to day two of the final next week as well. But with that, we'll get into the music segment that we have for All Stars because the soundtrack is always good. And my two songs for this week are Good Feeling by Flo Rida and Africa by Toto. And I never knew the name of the person who sang that song of Africa because I've always heard it. I've never knew who it was. And it was just so funny that it was playing when they were in the RV. So that's why I picked that one. And then Good Feeling, it reminds me just of like summer and just getting good vibes.
Yeah, actually, I didn't hear the Flo Rida song. I'm not really a Flo Rida person. Like, I can't pick out a song except for the Apple Bottoms one. So definitely did not even hear that playing. But I chose Thanks for the Memories by Fall Out Boy. I think that's just like a good punk rock song. Gives like mid 2000s vibe. I love that song. And then also Vanessa Williams, Save the Best for Last. I love that song by Vanessa Williams. I think she's gorge. She is fab. And, you know, her music career short lived, but she has hits. And I love that for her. So those are the two songs that I chose.
I forgot she even had a music career. So I gotta go look that up again. So yeah.
Yeah, you do your Googles on her. She definitely can hold a tune. And the music videos are just funny, just from that era of the 80s. But yeah, that's the recap that we have for this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back next week to conclude All Stars season 4. We have All Stars 5 that has begun. So we'll do a little preview of that next week. But we'll be back to talk more of All Stars 4. If you'd like to follow us on Twitter, you can at Dual Lines Pod. You can follow Megan at Megs and Hines. You can follow myself at Ace_S5. If you're listening, you can watch this on YouTube at Duel Lions Podcast. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back next week for more. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.